Hello friends, welcome to Historical Pulse on this channel. You will see the video about the world top in history on this channel. Your knowledge will be increase and your mind will be refresh. Let's view the video. The last great Islamic empire. The rise of an empire in the early 13th century. The world was in constant turmoil. The Mongol invasions had shaken the Muslim world and the Byzantine Empire was crumbling. Amid this chaos in the rugged plains of Anatolia, a small Turkish tribe under the leadership of Osman I began its journey toward greatness. This tribe would eventually give birth to the Ottoman Empire, one of the most powerful and enduring Islamic empires in history. Osman I, from whom the Ottomans derived their name, started as a local chieftain among many small Turkic tribes. His rule began around 1299, and he quickly established his authority by uniting neighboring tribes under a single banner of faith and strength. Osman was not just a warrior, but a visionary leader who believed in justice, unity, and devotion to Islam. His dream was not limited to survival. He envisioned an empire guided by divine purpose. The early Ottomans were known for their discipline, courage, and adaptability. Their military strategy combined the nomadic skills of the Turks with the administrative traditions of the Islamic world. The Ghazi spirit, a term meaning warrior for Islam, drove them to fight not merely for land, but for faith. As they conquered towns and fortresses, they treated their new subjects with tolerance and fairness, earning loyalty rather than rebellion. Osman's successors continued his vision. His son, Orhan Ghazi, captured Bursa in 1326, marking the Ottomans' first major city and their new capital. Bursa became the political and cultural heart of the rising empire. It was here that the Ottomans began organizing an efficient administrative system and laying the foundations of their future greatness. They developed the Janissary Corps, an elite army unit that would become one of the most feared forces in the world. Under Murad I, the empire expanded into the Balkans, crossing into Europe for the first time. Cities like Edirne, Adrianople, fell to the Ottomans, making it their new capital before the conquest of Constantinople. This expansion into Europe marked the Ottomans as a rising superpower, not just an Asian or Muslim force, but a global one. Faith played a central role in Ottoman life. Mosques, schools, and charitable institutions spread across conquered lands, turning the empire into a center of Islamic learning. Scholars, poets, and architects found refuge in Ottoman cities. The sultans were seen not only as rulers, but as protectors of Islam. By the mid-15th century, the Ottoman Empire had grown from a small frontier principality into a mighty power challenging both Christian Europe and rival Muslim dynasties. The stage was set for one of history's most dramatic moments, the conquest of Constantinople, which would transform the Ottomans from a regional power into a world empire. The conquest of Constantinople. Few events in world history have the same dramatic impact as the conquest of Constantinople in 1453. This event marked not only the end of the Byzantine Empire, but also the beginning of the Ottoman Empire's golden age. At its center was a young, determined sultan, Mehmed II, known to history as Mehmed the Conqueror. At just 21 years old, Mehmed II inherited a vast yet fragile empire. He had one dream: to conquer Constantinople, the legendary city that had resisted countless sieges for over 1,000 years. The city's walls, built by Emperor Theodosius II, were considered impenetrable. But Mehmed was not an ordinary ruler. He was a visionary, a strategist, and a man of science. He prepared meticulously for the siege. Engineers under his command built massive cannons, including the famous Basilica, one of the largest ever constructed. His navy was strengthened to blockade the Bosporus, and an army of nearly 80,000 men surrounded the city. Despite Europe's warnings and appeals for help, Constantinople stood alone. The siege began in April 1453. The Byzantine defenders, led by Emperor Constantine XIII, fought bravely but were vastly outnumbered. For weeks, the Ottomans bombarded the city walls day and night. In a brilliant move, Mehmed had his ships dragged over land, around the chain blocking the Golden Horn, to surprise the defenders from the north. The sight shocked the Byzantines and showed Mehmed's genius. On May 29, 1453, after 53 days of fierce fighting, the Ottomans broke through the walls. Emperor Constantine X died defending his city, and the last remnants of the Roman Empire came to an end. Mehmed rode triumphantly into the city and ordered that no harm come to its civilians. He entered Hagia Sophia, the great church of Byzantium, and converted it into a mosque, a symbol of a new era. Constantinople was renamed Istanbul and became the capital of the Ottoman Empire. Mehmed rebuilt the city, inviting Muslims, Christians, and Jews to live there. It soon became a thriving center of trade, culture, and scholarship, the heart of a new Islamic civilization. The fall of Constantinople sent shockwaves through Europe. The once mighty Christian bastion had fallen to the Muslims, and the Ottomans now controlled the bridge between East and West. Mehmed the Conqueror had fulfilled the ancient prophecy. One day, Constantinople will be conquered, and blessed will be the commander who conquers it. This victory transformed the Ottoman Empire into a global power and set the foundation for its golden age under Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent. The golden age of the Ottomans, the 16th century, marked the golden age of the Ottoman Empire, a time when it became the most powerful state in the world. This era was defined by one ruler, Suleiman the Magnificent, also known as Suleiman the Lawgiver. His reign, from 1520 to 1566, was the peak of Ottoman glory in politics, culture, and military strength. Under Suleiman, the empire stretched across 3 continents, from Hungary in Europe to Iraq in Asia, and deep into North Africa. His armies marched fearlessly through Europe, capturing Belgrade, Rhodes, and even reaching the gates of Vienna. The Mediterranean became an Ottoman lake, dominated by the fleet of Barbarossa, the empire's legendary admiral. But Suleiman was more than a conqueror. He was a wise statesman who believed that power must be guided by law and justice. He reorganized the empire's legal system, blending Islamic Sharia with practical governance. His fair laws earned him the title Kanuni, the lawgiver. Culturally, the empire flourished. Istanbul became one of the world's great capitals, filled with mosques, palaces, and gardens. The chief architect Mimar Sinan designed masterpieces like the Suleymaniye Mosque, blending beauty and spirituality in perfect harmony. Scholars, poets, and artists thrived under imperial patronage. The Ottoman court became a beacon of art, music, and learning. Trade also boomed. The empire controlled key trade routes between Asia and Europe, bringing in wealth from silk, spices, and precious metals. Markets in Istanbul bustled with merchants from every corner of the known world. Perhaps most impressively, the Ottomans maintained religious tolerance. Christians, Jews, and Muslims coexisted under a system known as the millet, allowing each community to govern its own affairs. This balance of diversity and unity made the empire both strong and stable. Suleiman's reign symbolized the height of Ottoman civilization, a blend of military might, cultural brilliance, and moral governance. However, with his death in 1566, the empire began to show the first signs of stagnation. The golden sun of the Ottomans had reached its zenith, but soon it would begin to set. The decline begins. After the death of Suleiman the Magnificent, the Ottoman Empire slowly began to decline. The empire was still vast and wealthy, but the strength that once made it unstoppable began to fade. The reasons for this decline were complex. Internal corruption, military weakness, economic troubles, and the rise of European powers all played their part. One of the main causes was the weakening of leadership. Later sultans lacked the vision and discipline of their ancestors. Many were isolated in the palace, surrounded by advisors who sought power for themselves. The once efficient administration became corrupt, and the Janissary Corps, once the empire's elite soldiers, grew undisciplined and politically powerful. Economically, the empire suffered as European explorers discovered new sea routes to Asia, bypassing Ottoman-controlled trade centers. The wealth that once flowed through Istanbul began to shift toward European ports like Lisbon and Amsterdam. Inflation rose, and the empire's treasury struggled to keep up with its expenses. Militarily, the Ottomans faced repeated defeats against European powers like Austria, Russia, and Venice. The Battle of Lepanto, 1571, marked a major naval defeat that broke Ottoman dominance in the Mediterranean. As Europe advanced in science and technology during the Renaissance, the Ottomans failed to keep pace. In the 18th and 19th centuries, nationalist movements spread across Ottoman territories. Greeks, Serbs, Arabs, and others demanded independence. At the same time, Western influence grew stronger, pushing for modernization and reform. The empire attempted to adapt through the Tanzimat reforms, modernizing education, law, and the military. But it was too little, too late. Internally, the vast empire became difficult to govern. Communication across its territories was slow, and corruption weakened central authority. The Ottomans' once great administration turned into a bureaucracy plagued with inefficiency. By the late 19th century, the empire was referred to as the sick man of Europe. Yet, even in decline, it remained a key player in global politics, a bridge between the Christian West and the Islamic East. The final blow would come in the 20th century, as the world plunged into its deadliest conflict, World War I. The fall and legacy as the 20th century dawned, the Ottoman Empire stood